Good morning, everyone. How's everyone today? Have you ever been around people that just want to call and complain about their day, but that complaining is like gossip, and the gossip that you're being exposed to is bringing you to another state of consciousness, and that consciousness is dragging you down into something negative that you don't want to be a part of, and your mind is going there, even though you don't want it to go there. But with our environments, by reading Neville Goddard and understanding the power of now, our environments are really detrimental to us because they can bring us to another state of consciousness where we get involved in gossiping. We have our instant gratifications. This is how drugs and alcohol, like it's the environments we surround ourselves in. And when you get into a different mindset and you start to realize that you've outgrown those environments, now when they try to latch onto you, you just kind of don't want any part of it. You just set healthy boundaries and kind of walk away and just do everything silently and not take what they're saying to heart because they're in a different state of consciousness. Everything that people do is consciousness. You can have good consciousness and you can have bad consciousness. The state of consciousness that I'm trying to do is trying to alleviate all those gossiping, the drugs, smoking, the instant gratification, watching television. Because I noticed whenever I was going down that path and then I would try to meditate, it would mess with my meditation because it was distracting me. And it's amazing how the mind works and how it wanders. Even when you're driving, your mind will wander and you don't even realize it's wandering. That's a form of hypnosis. We're under hypnosis and we don't even realize it. So when you're around people that are like offending you or anything, just remember they're in a state of different consciousness than you are. So if you go to that state of consciousness, then it'll offend you. But if you stay in the same state of consciousness that you're already in, it no longer offends you because you realize that, oh, they're not on the same level as me. And that's okay. People will get there eventually. It just takes time, right? Everything takes time. You just have to trust the process and believe and not try to take yourself into an area where you feel upset about it because you might have to distance yourselves from people and it's just setting healthy boundaries. Like I had to distance myself from friends and family because I outgrew them. They didn't understand the new version of me, and that's okay. That they're on a different state of consciousness, and that's what I'm starting to understand is we're in different states. It's like a struggling writer, for instance. A struggling writer is out around a bunch of other struggling writers. To be successful, you have to move yourself away from that state of consciousness and get into a state of silence and just be alone with your thoughts and let your thoughts guide you. That's the wonderful thing about imagination that we don't realize. We could just imagine our life the way it should be. Even when life is like in rough times, if you go to that state of consciousness, amazing things will happen. You think about it with Neville Goddard. He was a struggling dancer and he was staying with a fella named Abdullah, and his family had just sailed off on a boat to Barbados. And Abdullah looked at Neville Goddard and said, "You are in Barbados." And Neville didn't understand what he meant. And he repeated again, "You are in Barbados." So Neville started to think about it. And then he was like, what do you mean? And then he imagined he was in Barbados. And he kept doing this. And this was before he went to sleep. And it's very effective. Like I did this exercise where you have to climb a ladder and you had to say all day, "I will not climb a ladder." It's interesting what we resist, we persist. And the more you say something that you don't want, the chances are you're going to get it. So I did it. Did it over and over again. The ladder exercise, "I will not climb a ladder." And what did I do when I was going to bed just before I was sleeping? I climbed a ladder. And that's just how brilliant the mind is. You can channel so many wonderful things and you don't even realize it. But yeah, I has to go back to Neville. So he did this For 6 months, he just kept saying he was in Barbados. And out of nowhere, he received a telegram from his family asking him to come for Christmas. He had not any money. He was broke. And his brother sent him $50 back in 1933. You can just imagine how much money that was. And told him to go buy a suit. So he went and bought a suit. And the reason that he was able to get a suit and the money was because he imagined he was in Barbados with his family. And he kept doing it. He just kept imagining. It's like you get into those situations where you're in an environment and you're surrounded and you're overwhelmed. Well, close your eyes and imagine you're somewhere where brings you peace, brings you joy. And that's what I do every time before I turn on the camera and talk to all of you. I visualize something wonderful and I go there. Imagine if you're really, really cold one day and you can't get warm right away. Imagine you're in Florida, walking on the sand, the sunbeams raising on you. It's amazing how powerful we truly are. And that we can just have that ability to just go where we want. You just go there in your mind. I also started doing this thing, it's called the reverse exercise. Before I go to bed, I replay everything I did in my day. And it's amazing what you can remember. It teaches you memorization, and then it's really helpful with visualization because you're visualizing your day from the end to the start. And I practice this every night. And then in the morning, of course, I do the leaf exercise. It's just neat when you practice visualization because in certain situations that you come into and you don't want to be in, well, you can just go in your mind and not be there. And that's what I do now. I just go in my mind and I'm not there. And it's teaching me a lot about myself and how reactive I used to be. But it's not about being reactive. It's about what was going on inside of me that was making me reactive. What was I not letting go of? What was still inside of me? My trauma, of course. My trauma is now my superpower. And it's funny when you're around other people that are talking about like how bad life is and how this and that. And it's just like, it's okay. They're in a different state of consciousness. But you can support them. You can just support them from a distance because you don't want to get involved in that bubble. You want to put a protective barrier around you and just let yourself be in the moment. Be in the presence of now. The future and past don't matter. It's a thing I say every morning. I know I'm living in a simulation. I need to fear nothing or feel anxiety. I am limitless. I can create anything I want. Nothing from my past can touch or harm me. I am living the best version of myself right now. I say that 5 times a day. Just kind of get into ways of like training your mind. Train your mind like you train a muscle. You work at it slowly and you build that muscle. And gradually after time, that muscle grows into something stronger. Same with your brain. If you train your brain right, your brain will become that strong muscle as well. Well, I hope this has been a wonderful, have a wonderful rest of your morning. And remember, you are limitless. You can create anything you want. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, just go to that happy place. Be in that moment. Enjoy it. Embrace it. Much love to all of you. Bye.